Greetings, everyone. In this video, I'll be briefly explaining the doctrine of papal infallibility. Papal infallibility is one of the most misunderstood Catholic doctrines, but properly understood, it's a very modest and reasonable position. The First Vatican Council defines papal infallibility as, quote, when the Roman pontiff speaks ex cathedra, that is, when in the exercise of his office as shepherd and teacher of all Christians, in virtue of his supreme apostolic authority, he defines the doctrine concerning faith and morals to be held by the whole Church. He possesses, by the divine assistance promised to him in Blessed Peter, that infallibility which the divine Redeemer willed his Church to enjoy in defining doctrine concerning faith or morals, end quote. In other words, when the Pope binds the entire Church to a dogma on faith or morals, he is prevented from error. In all other instances, the Pope is fallible. So, in order for a statement of the Pope to be considered infallible, it must meet all four of the following criteria. Authority. The Pope must exercise his office as the universal pastor of the Church and not as a private theologian. Universality. The Pope must intend to bind the entire Church to his teaching. Matter. The teaching must be a matter of faith and morals. And form. The Pope must clearly intend to define dogma, usually indicated by positive affirmations such as we define it is to be believed and the Holy Roman Church teaches, or negative affirmations such as we condemn, we anathematize, and let him be anathema. Now let us clarify what papal infallibility is not. Papal infallibility is not the teaching that the Pope is sinless or incapable of committing even grave or mortal sin. The only sinless human beings are Jesus Christ, who is God himself, and Mary, the Mother of God. Papal infallibility is not the teaching that everything a pope says or teaches is true, even if it concerns faith and morals. Bishop Vincent Gazer, who is the official relator of the First Vatican Council, stated, quote, in no sense is pontifical infallibility absolute, because absolute infallibility belongs to God alone, who is the first and essential truth, and who is never able to deceive or be deceived. All other infallibility is communicated for a specific purpose, has its limits, and its conditions under which it is considered to be present. The same is valid in reference to the infallibility of the Roman pontiff, for this infallibility is bound by certain limits and conditions, end quote. Therefore, the infallibility of the Pope is not limitless. The Pope can still make mistakes and wrongful judgments and even teach heresy as a private theologian, but he cannot bind the Church to heresy. In fact, we've had numerous heretical popes in the past, such as Honorius and John the 22nd, but none of them were ever successful in dogmatizing their heresies, which actually supports the notion of papal infallibility. Finally, the Pope does not receive new revelation when he exercises the charism of infallibility. He simply defines what is already there in sacred scripture and sacred tradition, either in explicit or implicit form. Cardinal Johann Franzl, a Jesuit theologian, stated, quote, it was never the aim of the Holy Councils in proposing the definition of a doctrine to set forth Catholic doctrine in itself, insofar as it was already possessed by the faithful in complete tranquility. The aim is always to make clear the errors which are threatening some doctrine and to exclude them by a declaration of the truth, which is directly opposed to such errors, end quote. Thank you for watching.